What's up, Copy Squad? It's your boy Kyle Milligan, and today I want to give you a headlines writing crash course. This is going to help you sort of level up your copywriting game in terms of headlines. It's going to be like a copywriting 101 thing. We're going to cover some basic fundamentals, frameworks that you can keep in your brain when you're writing headlines to make sure that you're doing the best job possible. I'm going to give you a couple like checklist items. I'm going to give you 4 of those, and then I'm going to give you 2 sorts of frameworks and ways to think about when you're writing headlines, plus a host of examples to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. And before we begin, I'm going to be showing you PDFs with my notes, annotated sales letters. These are very popular with my fans. If you're interested in getting access to all my swipe file PDFs from 2019 to today with all my notes, plus a full headline training on this very topic of headlines, you can check out copysquad.net/light. That's a new program that we have where we'll be doing monthly trainings, plus you get access to all my marked up PDFs from my swipe file. But I'll talk about this more at the end. Let's dive into the headline crash course now. First, we're going to cover the 4 U's. Those are unique, useful, urgent, and ultra specific, okay? And I'm listing them in that very specific order because it's going to be in order of importance. The first one is going to be unique. Unique is super important because before you can do anything, you first must stand out and capture attention. So your headline has to present something unique and different, and then the next most important thing is that it has to be useful. It's one thing to just present something useful like, hey, here's $1 gazillion, I'm going to give you all this money, or hey, get any hot babe in the dating market that you want. Like, these sorts of things are useful, but they're not unique. So you have to first start with the element of uniqueness. You have to know that there's something you want the reader to get, something the reader desires. So start with uniqueness, and then you need to embed usefulness. That's the second U, is the most important. The next one is going to be urgency, which is you want to create a sense of sort of FOMO, like there's something like I need to act now, I need to act fast, or this is something that's current and new. So unique and new are kind of similar, but then also when you get to urgent, new means like it's kind of like breaking. It's happening now. You need to act quickly before this time passes or you fall behind the curve. So that's urgency. The last one is ultra specific. And the reason ultra specific is so useful, so powerful, is that it lends an element of credibility that whenever you have specific numbers or names or some sort of data point that makes it feel more concrete, this makes it feel more real because you're going to have already presented something unique and different that's kind of like, and then you're going to put something useful in there that's going to raise your reader's skepticism, and then you're going to say, well, like, this is new and breaking and you need to act now, and then they're going to be like, I don't know if I trust this, and then the credibility is going to be that tapering balance mechanism that sort of makes it feel more realistic, more plausible. Now that we've covered the 4 U's, I want to give you some quick little tips, like rules of thumb that are really important when you're writing your headlines to keep you from like going into a dangerous trap. The first thing I'd like to say is I'd like to sort of encourage you to capture your ideas in approximately 5 words. Get all of that stuff in about 5 words as a main headline complex. We're going to discuss the eyebrow, the main headline complex, and the deck copy in just a moment, and I'm going to show you examples. But your main headline complex, I'm personally not a fan of these very long explanatory headlines that take up like 4 or 5 lines of copy. I know that they work, but one, they feel a little bit gimmicky. They sort of look like an ad. They sort of look like marketing and can turn off readers at first glance, in my opinion. Also, think about the experience you have when someone sends you a wall of text in a text message. Once you've sent a text that exceeds like 6 lines, the first reaction when you open your phone and you look at that text is usually something like, right? So I feel like it's the sort of same thing. It feels like work when you have a headline complex that spans 4 lines, 5 lines, like the main headline complex. You're asking too much of the reader. You're putting them in a position where they have to already start thinking of your copy as work. The second problem with writing really long 4-line headline complexes is that you risk going into explanatory mode. There are some copywriters that are skilled enough to break the rules or write really long headlines and still keep it intriguing. But for most beginner and even intermediate copywriters, when you start to have a longer headline, you've actually started describing the opportunity or explaining the opportunity in such a way where it's no longer the same level of intrigue being cultivated cultivated, because it's like you've already started to like give away some of the goods, and the headline is supposed to grab attention. It's not supposed to explain this stuff. That's why we write 30-page sales letters, is to walk them through this journey of discovery for this new opportunity. So the first reason I don't like it is because, one, I think it preempts the reader to feel like your copy is work, and two, I think if you're a beginner and even like low intermediate copywriter, you're probably making the mistake of explaining your idea to the customer instead of just presenting something that is unique, useful, urgent, and ultra specific. Okay, now I want to cover two basic frameworks that I think are super crucial for helping you write better headlines. And now, this is not the end-all, be-all of writing headlines across the board. I sometimes get these kinds of emails like, well, I didn't see the headline do the thing you said in the YouTube video. And it's like, dude, these are frameworks, these are things to help you get going. So I'm trying to give you the lowest, simplest, easy sort of framework or methodology that you can quickly implement, that usually, like it's a game of poker, that if the odds are played, that this is in the odds in your favor. So these tactics are very sort of high level, and they're not the end-all be-all of all copy. What I'm trying to do is give you some best practices to follow. So let's jump into two of my major frameworks for headlines. They're just very simple. The first one is, this is the biggest thing happening now. The second one is, this is quirky. That's it. Those are the two things I sort of want you thinking about with headlines. This is the biggest thing happening now, and this is sort of quirky. So I'm going to present a bunch of different headline examples to you. I'm going to show you the 4 U's, and I'm going to show you the 2 different ways that they sort of implement that this is the biggest thing happening now, or that this is quirky, okay? Let's jump in now. Alright, so the first one I actually want to show you is the hottest IPO in history. This is the very first promo I ever wrote, and then this is one of those, I mean, you could probably guess, this is one of those that's going to say this is the hottest thing happening right now. That's the kind of example we have right here. So this is the main headline complex, the hottest IPO in history. The eyebrow is this line up above. It says, warning, limited spots available. You can already sense the urgency in that, right? And then 99, this is the deck copy, all the way up until Dear Reader. 99.9% of Americans have been locked out of the fastest growing company in the world, but now a famous venture capitalist is revealing a pre-IPO strategy that can turn the average retirement into $588,000 or more before this company goes public. It will be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, IPOs in history. So let's look. Do we have, is it unique? Is it something different? Yes, it's the hottest thing in history. So therefore, it is one on its own. It is a 1 out of a million. It's the hottest one, right? So we know it's unique. Is it useful? Yes, there's a pre-IPO strategy that can turn money into money, some money into more money before a company goes public. Now, is it urgent? Well, there's a before the company goes public triggers that little bit of urgency inside of your belly, and then limited spots available, urgency in your belly. Is it ultra specific? Here's a bit of a specific number. It doesn't really carry much weight. This number is 588K, is quite specific. And then look at this, this credibility piece down here. It will be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, IPOs in history from stackbid.com. And so here's a credible source that's throwing its weight behind this opportunity, and we're using that specific name. Okay, let's look at another one. Why, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. A once-in-a-generation opportunity. Okay, sounds like a biggest thing happening right now, right? Why are billionaires like Elon, Mark, and Michael Jordan investing, like a little typo, investing in this odd new technology? Legendary forecaster who picked Bitcoin in 2015 reveals how, another typo thingy, how $25 gets you into one technology set to grow 1,000 times bigger. They're having some sort of spacing issue in this. Than every cryptocurrency and NFT combined. Okay, now look. 1,000 times bigger than every cryptocurrency and NFT combined. You can sort of categorize this as the biggest thing happening right now. It's a once-in-a-generation opportunity. So this has a question, which is a bit long, but it's only 2 lines. Like, look at sort of like the shape of the headlines, right? Think of that. You sort of want to fit the bill, I would say. You want to look at it. It should look like a headline. It should, like, from a framework, look like a headline. So why are they investing in this odd new technology? What he's basically going to say is the answer is it's the biggest thing happening right now. It's very straightforward. It's very on the nose. He's not giving away the farm though, but he's telling you very straightforward, this is the biggest thing happening right now. Is it unique? Yes, it's an odd new technology. Is it useful? Yes, it's big. $25 can get you in. Is it urgent? I would say yes, because to a degree, this might be more subtle, but it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity. There's not a lot of time you don't get many of these opportunities. There's some FOMO triggered there. And is it ultra specific? Ultra is a tough word, but $25 does get you into something 1,000 times bigger than all of this stuff. So we're going to go with that. So again, here's another great example of just like saying this is the hottest thing ever happening now. Okay, remember our two types are hottest thing ever happening now and something quirky. Okay, checking out our next example. This is actually the exact same promotion as the hottest IPO in history. What do I mean by that? Well, this is a re-lead. That means I took this promotion that we wrote and then I created a new headline complex and I changed the intro. But if you scroll down, right here you'll see that this is where the promo becomes the exact same promo. You could just call this like a different hook. You see this? The picture here? It's the exact same promotion. At this time of the promo, it basically goes back to the original copy. So what's cool about this example is I have the same promo, but with two different sorts of headlines. We have the headline style that says, this is the biggest thing ever happening right now. And then we have a headline style that's quirky. So this is the quirky one. And how is this quirky? It's the $15 trillion gadget. Now, the quirk doesn't have to be like a world destroyer. It doesn't have to flip the reader's head and entire universe upside down. It just has to have a small element of quirk, something small and counterintuitive that might just capture your attention if they see it and they go, huh, that seems weird. So let me go over the 4 U's. America's #1 Silicon Valley insider reveals the $15 trillion gadget. 9 times more valuable than Google, Facebook, and Amazon combined. Insiders believe the world's fastest growing startup will use this tech to make a lot of people rich, as it dominates a secretive tech revolution set to reach $15 trillion. Is it unique? Yes. Do you know any $15 trillion gadgets? It's unique just de facto because it has that quirky element in there. Is it useful? Yes, it's useful, and it's a little bit more subtle. It says this tech will make a lot of people rich. If you invest in this, it can make you rich. Is it urgent? Yes, I would say it's urgent because it does sort of create, there's 2 things that sort of hit a subtle urgent factor here. World's fastest growing startup, again, creates that sense of like rapidness. This is happening now, it's happening fast. And then a secretive tech revolution. So this also implies a more subtle urgency nuance in that there is something very secretive. It's happening now, it's happening fast. And it kind of hints that there's some FOMO to be experienced. You're missing out on something you don't know about. So there you have another quirk. There you have your first quirk headline with a little bit of, with all 4 U's present. Now, here's another quirk headline that I really like. This one more recent. I did not write this one. So let's see. Former Goldman Sachs executive who walked away from $1 million career investigates America's new abnormal. I am exposing the strange truth about America's new economic reality. Many will become rich while others are left behind. Nomi Prinz, PhD. Now, let's talk about the 4 U's. Isn't it unique? Yes. And what makes it unique? You can see in my blue write-up here, the counterintuitive versus biggest thing ever plus urgency. This is my first time of like discovering and talking about the 2 types of headline styles that I'm sharing with you now. But what makes it unique is this simple little change. Abnormal. Instead of saying America's new normal, which is sort of a normal sort of expression or turn of phrase, he says America's new abnormal. What do you mean? What is that? I've never heard that before. It's just unique enough. Now, is it useful? Well, he's exposing a strange truth about America's new economic reality. Many will become rich, while others will be left behind. Or she's exposing that. So that is useful because, I mean, you can become rich, you can avoid being left behind. Is it urgent? Yes, it's a new economic reality. And again, I think a lot of new copywriters get tied up thinking you gotta say, buy now, act now, hurry, oh my God. You don't necessarily have to do that. Something that's a new economic reality that could cause people to be left behind can trigger that sense of anxiety that is a cousin of urgency. That FOMO feeling, I need to know about this. You don't have to go so overt with your urgency. Here's another nice subtle way to do that. Is it ultra specific? I would say not totally. This one doesn't really check that box, but this is a successful promo that has run to cold traffic, and so it's working. It has worked well, and it didn't really need a lot of ultra specificity. You do have the quote from Nomi Prinz, who is the editor of this. She's a PhD, so that lends that credibility piece former Goldman Sachs executive who walked away from $1 million career, there's elements of concrete specificity that aren't directly tied to the opportunity and how much you could become rich. This specificity is tied to the credibility piece, and that's important because the specificity is what helps balance that skepticism and credibility aspects of it. The ultra specificity makes it, the concreteness of the numbers or facts make it feel more real, okay? So this is another quirk headline. So we saw 2 that are super on the nose. This is the biggest thing ever. We've seen 2 that are sort of just a little bit of quirk. You know, someone who walked away from $1 million career investigates the abnormal and exposing the strange truth. These are all little quirky things that sort of get your attention and make you say, I wonder what that's all about. The next 2 I want to give you are masterful combinations of both. And these come from Stansberry, and I think they come from the same writer. I'm not 100% sure. I think so, though. Okay, so let's look this over. A former Goldman Sachs banker, MBA, and medical doctor asks, are you ready for financial lockdown? Today, you must make one of the most important financial decisions of your lifetime. I strongly recommend these 4 steps now. Investors are woefully unprepared for what may be a once-in-a-generation shift in the market. The Wall Street Journal. This quote didn't print correctly in the PDF. It's supposed to be probably down here. But anyway, so let's look at this. 4 U's. Most important financial decision. Okay, the first is unique, right? Financial lockdown. Well, coming out of lockdown during the pandemic, financial lockdown is one of those weird sort of quirky turns of phrase. Oh, there's a financial lockdown. What's financial lockdown, right? So there's a small little quirk there that sort of makes you, it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to destroy worlds in order to do the quirk thing. Great execution here. Is it useful? You must make one of the most important financial decisions of your lifetime. 4 steps now. That's useful. Is it urgent? Yes. Sounds like it's coming on fast and it seems like a big deal. Is it ultra specific? We got former Goldman Sachs banker, MBA, and medical doctor. So, yeah. And then you got the Wall Street Journal coming in here. So there's the specificity elements. This is kind of like more new copy where you can't just say you can make $1 gazillion or $999,342 a month. You can't do something like that. That's not compliant. So there's other ways to implement specificity, and really instead of thinking of specificity, think of credibility, okay? So again, this is the biggest thing happening now. It's the most important financial decision in your lifetime, but it's also got the quirk. It's the like one of the best of both worlds, you know, it's combining the 2. The next one, I had to put this into a notepad so that we could read it because my PDF didn't really do a good job with it. One of America's most famous investors, who was twice featured on 60 Minutes, reveals the biggest new tech breakthrough affecting you and your money today. Have you heard of TAS? This is the main headline complex. Again, think of the way these look, right? Look at the shape of the headline complex. These are all successful headlines. Look at the shape. Whenever you take a look at the shape of your headline complex, you can sort of determine, does this headline suck? Does it look like a good headline? You can see this in all sorts of copy. Like whenever you look at the sales copy that's written like this, or whether you're looking at an email, I can look at it and know before I read any words, does this suck? That's important to remember and think about. So the deck copy. It could put an extra $5,600 back in your pocket each year without you making a single investment, and will create more new millionaire investors over the next decade than anything else on the planet. Is it unique? Yes. Have you heard of TAS? It's got that little quirk to it. What is TAS? I've never heard of that. Have you heard of it? I don't know what that is, so therefore it is automatically unique. Is it useful? Yes, it could put an extra $5,600 back in your pocket each year without you making a single investment. Is it urgent? Yes, it's the biggest new tech breakthrough affecting you and your money today. So it is urgent and it's useful to the reader. It's something that is important to them. Is it ultra specific? This one's a little bit more difficult in these days, but I would say this person appeared twice on 60 Minutes, and then it can put $5,600 back in your pocket. What we're looking for in terms of ultra specificity is, again, just some sort of concrete pieces of information that make the whole opportunity feel more credible. So there's a bunch of examples of successful headlines that went out to cold traffic, to external media, and found new customers that were not familiar with the brand and then brought them into the business to help grow the business, getting new customer acquisition. You also got a couple frameworks that I hope are helpful for you, and I hope you were able to get something out of this. Now, if you'd like to get all the PDFs with all my notes, the entire sales letter marked up, plus a headline training that I did with Justin Blackman a while back, that's all found inside of our new program called Copy Squad Lite, available at copysquad.net/lite. This is a new program that we just started, allows you access to all the sales letters that I mark up. You get to see their PDFs with my notes. We also have monthly live classes. It gets you free access to these monthly live classes and then also to our recording repository. So you'd get Justin Blackman's headline training, you'll get John Rhodes' email training, my man Cody's email training. You'll also get access to Sean Mack's advertorial training. We're just adding and adding trainings to this every single month. You'll also get access to a private Discord community with other working copywriters. Myself, my former and current writers, and Copy Squad coaches will be a part of that as well. So if you're interested in that, you can go to copysquad.net/lite. Either way, I hope that this headline crash course was useful for you. You got some good information out of it. And until next time, peace out, Copy Squad.